Alan Hackler here from Bay Maples Wild California Gardens. And another important strategy that we implement to achieve our sustainability goals is utilizing reclaimed and salvaged materials whenever possible. And one of the ways we do that is utilizing logs from local trees that have been removed for a variety of reasons, whether they're diseased or planted in the wrong place. And instead of just taking those trees, chipping them up and sending them to the landfill, we work with local tree services to catch those trees right as they're being taken down and use them for our sawmill. And we can cut them down and use them for fantastic projects, using them for dimensional lumber, slab tables, bar tops, benches, signs, a whole variety of different things. So follow along and check out how we do it. Once we picked up the logs from the removal site, they're brought back here to our shop, where we store them here in this back corner, waiting to be put on our mill. And once we're ready, we load up on the Bobcat and get to milling. One of the parts that it's scariest because I got to get it loaded on there without damaging the mill. A little white knuckle moment here. So I'm trying to make sure that the grapple arms don't damage the bed of the mill when I unload it. All went pretty smooth. So now our next step is to secure the log onto the mill. The next thing you want to do is kind of make sure there's no debris in the bark, just so the blade doesn't hit something and dull the blade or shoot something out. All right, everything's looking pretty good. Even though you got the big machine here, there's a lot of just hand moving and tossing around. It can be a bit of an ass kicker. Wow, look at that grain though. You won't find grain like this at Home Depot. So we've just slabbed out the top half of this log, and to get slabs out of the next few pieces, it's actually going to be easier to turn this log around 180 degrees and have this sitting flush on our bed. So this may look like a medieval torture device, but it's actually called a cant hook, and it's designed to grab the side of the log here and help me turn it over. And there's some rollers on that side which help to kind of aid in the turning process. Push these down so I don't cut into them. Anyone who's ever run a sawmill has definitely cut into these at least once. When you're rolling over the big ones, it can be a nightmare. Okay, so we've milled all of our log. As you can see, here are the final 3 cuts. So you can see why we flipped it, because once you get farther down, it's harder and harder to get the blade without hitting any other parts of the equipment, and it leaves you with this top part that you usually don't use. So these are our last 3 pieces. We're gonna load them up onto the mini skid steer, take them over to dry. Okay, we're finished milling that log. Got everything nice and slabbed up. You can see, I think we've got about 6 or so nice slab pieces. Now we're gonna go take them over to dry, which is actually the most important part, because you can cut these perfectly, but if you don't dry them right, it'll just turn into complete garbage. So now we're gonna show you how we do this and get ready for building more furniture. From here, we're gonna load it up on our drying racks and get it nice and stickered up. So here we are in the drying area. This is a previous log that we had milled up a few months ago. You may see these funny little pieces of wood sticking out in between the logs. What they're called, these are called stickers or spacers. And what they're designed to do is allow some airflow to go through each piece. And that allows for more even drying, and also limits there being kind of mold and mildew building up with the pieces when they touch each other. And also, if you see, each one of these is exactly the same diameter. So when they're drying as flat as possible. The flatter you can dry these, the less twisting you'll get, the less warping, less manipulation you have to do to get this into a flat board to make it into whatever piece you're going to be making it into. And these will sit here for, redwood can dry very quickly. Redwood you can maybe have dry 4 to 6 months, but ideally about a year is a good time period to make sure you have the proper moisture content to then be able to use it for your next carpentry project. So during the drying process, the slabs have tendency to twist and flex and cup, which can make it difficult to then use that log to make into the final form. And so to counteract that twisting and movement, we want to make sure that the slab is as flat as possible. And the way we achieve that is we bring it over to our slab flattening mill here. This is basically a giant router which slides on this track, and it planes the slab to give us a nice, flat, even surface, make it easier for the carpentry work, for making a table or a bench or a sign or whatever else we're building, and gives a much better final finished product with much less time and effort. So watch how it's done. And now the final step, we get to enjoy this beautiful slab redwood table. And instead of seeing this get chipped up and sent to the landfill, we now have decades of use and appreciation of this beautiful material and showcasing this sustainable way to manage our urban resources and use it in a way that can be appreciated for decades to come. I hope you've enjoyed watching this process and hope to follow you along on our other adventures. Check us out on baymaples.com, on our Instagram. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks a lot.